Need a complete revision before your exam? This one-shot video will cover the entire chapter from human eye to scattering of light in a fast and easy way.
Welcome to Teaching Science. Have you ever wondered why stars twinkle in the night sky? Or exactly how a beautiful rainbow is formed after a rain shower? Well, today we're going to uncover the fascinating scientific answers to these everyday wonders in this complete chapter explainer. Here is a quick look at our roadmap. We're going to break down the structure of the human eye, vision defects, prism refraction, dispersion, and atmospheric refraction. And of course, we'll wrap up with a super fast revision to lock it all in for your CBSE board exams.
All right, let's dive straight into Section 1, the human eye structure.
Think of your eye as a brilliant biological camera. Light first enters through a thin, transparent membrane called the cornea, which forms a protective bulge right on the front of your eyeball. Just behind that cornea is the iris, a dark, muscular diaphragm that actually controls the size of your pupil. And the pupil's main job? It regulates exactly how much light gets to enter the eye. Finally, our crystalline lens focuses all that incoming light to form a real, inverted image on a delicate, light-sensitive screen at the very back of the eye, which we call the retina. Now, unlike a regular glass, magnifying glass, our eye lens isn't rigid. It's made of a flexible, jelly-like material. Its shape can actually be modified by your ciliary muscles. When these muscles relax, the lens becomes thin, which lets us clearly see things far away. But when they contract, the lens becomes thicker, allowing us to focus on things up close. This incredible ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length is called the power of accommodation. Make sure you memorize this. It's a highly tested definition for the boards. And here is a huge board alert for you. There's actually a limit to how much those ciliary muscles can adjust the lens. The absolute minimum distance at which you can comfortably see objects without straining your eyes is called the least distance of distinct vision, or simply your near point. For a young adult with normal vision, this near point is about 25 centimeters. Try bringing a book closer than that and it gets blurry, right? On the flip side, the farthest point up to which your eye can see clearly is called the far point. And for a normal, healthy eye, that far point stretches all the way out to infinity. Moving right along to Section 2, Defects of Vision and their correction. Sometimes, as people age or due to other structural changes, the eye slowly loses its power of accommodation. When this happens, a person can't see objects comfortably, leading to blurred vision. Let's compare the two most common defects. First up is myopia, widely known as nearsightedness. A person with myopia can see things right in front of them perfectly, but struggles with distant objects because the image is forming in front of the retina. We can easily fix this using a concave lens. Then we have hypermetropia, or farsightedness. Here, a person can clearly see distant objects, but struggles reading things up close because the image forms behind the retina. To correct this, we use a convex lens of the appropriate power. Listen up, because here's an awesome exam tip regarding a third common defect, presbyopia. As we get older, our ciliary muscles gradually weaken, and the eye lens just isn't as flexible anymore. This makes it really tough to focus on nearby objects. Interestingly, some older adults actually suffer from both myopia and hypermetropia at the exact same time. To help them, we use bifocal lenses. These clever glasses have a concave lens on the top half for looking far down the street and a convex lens on the bottom half for things like reading a newspaper. Let's shift gears to Section 3, Refraction of Light through a Prism. Now that we've mastered the biology of the human eye, let's look at the physics of how light behaves when passing through a triangular glass prism. You probably remember how light bends in a standard rectangular glass slab, but a prism is different. It has triangular bases and inclined rectangular surfaces. When a ray of light enters the glass prism from the air, it refracts and bends towards the normal. Then, as it exits the glass and goes back into the air, it bends away from the normal. Because the sides of the prism are inclined, the outgoing ray bends at a very specific angle compared to the incoming ray. We call this special angle the angle of deviation. Which perfectly brings us to Section 4, Dispersion and Rainbow Formation. So what do you think happens when a beam of pure white sunlight hits that glass prism? It's pretty amazing. The prism literally splits the incident white light into a spectacular band of 7 distinct colors. You can easily remember the order of these colors using the acronym VIBGYOR. That's violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. The resulting band of colored components is called a spectrum, and this whole phenomenon, the splitting of white light into its component colors, is a must-know definition called dispersion. This exact process of dispersion is the magical scientific secret behind one of nature's most beautiful sights, a rainbow. A rainbow is quite simply a natural spectrum appearing in the sky after a rain shower, and it's always formed in a direction entirely opposite to the sun. Now you might be asking, where exactly is the giant glass prism in the sky? Well, there isn't one. Instead, millions of tiny water droplets suspended in the atmosphere act like incredibly small prisms. When sunlight hits these droplets, they refract and disperse the incident light. Then, the light reflects internally off the back of the droplet, and finally, it refracts one more time as it exits the raindrop and reaches our eyes. This brilliant combination of dispersion and internal reflection is exactly how a rainbow is made. Let's move on to Section 5, Atmospheric Refraction and Scattering. Let's shift our gaze up to the vast night sky. Think about this classic question that pops up in almost every single board exam paper. Have you ever wondered why stars twinkle, but the planets in our solar system don't? Any guesses? The answer is atmospheric refraction. You see, the Earth's atmosphere isn't just a static blanket. It's made of layers of air with continuously changing temperatures and densities, which means constantly changing refractive indices. As starlight travels through these wavering layers, it gets refracted or bent continuously. This causes the apparent position of the star to wobble slightly, and the amount of starlight reaching our eyes flickers. Sometimes it looks super bright, and sometimes a bit faint. And that, my friends, is the twinkling effect. Now, speaking of light doing cool things in the air, let's talk about scattering. We observe something called the Tyndall effect when fine particles in the atmosphere make the path of a light beam clearly visible. Have you ever noticed a sharp beam of sunlight filtering through the canopy of a dense forest or shining into a dusty, smoke-filled room? That's the Tyndall effect in action. Tiny particles in the air are scattering the light directly into our eyes, illuminating the beam itself. And here is another crucial board alert related to scattering. The color of scattered light heavily depends on the size of the scattering particles. The incredibly fine particles and gas molecules in our atmosphere are just the perfect size to scatter shorter wavelengths of light, specifically blue light, much more strongly than longer wavelengths like red. This perfectly explains why, when you look up on a beautiful clear day, the sky appears a brilliant blue. We are almost done. Let's jump into Section 6 for a quick chapter revision. Let's do a 1-minute rapid-fire recap to lock these high-yield concepts into your memory before you tackle your NCERT exercises. To summarize, your eye uses ciliary muscles to adjust its focal length, an amazing ability called accommodation. Vision defects are easily corrected with specific spherical lenses. Remember, myopia gets a concave lens, while hypermetropia gets a convex lens. When white light passes through a glass prism, it undergoes dispersion, splitting into a beautiful Vibgyor spectrum. And finally, the constantly changing refractive index of the Earth's atmosphere causes atmospheric refraction, which is why stars twinkle at night. Before we completely wrap up, I want to give you a common mistake avoidance tip. When answering objective questions in your exam, do not confuse the near point of the normal human eye, which is 25 centimeters, with the far point, which stretches out to infinity. Read those questions carefully so you don't lose an easy mark. Now that we've cleared up all the core concepts, I highly encourage you to go revise the chapter while it's fresh. Sit down, practice drawing those ray diagrams for eye defects, map out the light bending through a prism, and confidently solve all the NCERT questions at the back of your book. Active practice is absolutely the key to a perfect score. If you found this explainer helpful for your exams, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Teaching Science. Before you go, I want to leave you with a thought. The next time you gaze up at a brilliant blue sky or catch a star twinkling in the distance, ask yourself, what other invisible forces of physics are secretly shaping the beautiful world you see every single day? Keep studying hard, and I will see you in our next explainer.